Hey, Justin, through 3 quarters, they had one touchdown on offense and no third down conversions. Does that make it even more frustrating the way things ended today?
Um, yeah, I mean, just because you lost, even if whatever the score was closer, whatever the case may be, no matter how well you play, you just want to win. That's the biggest thing. And so, as a defense, I thought we did a lot of things really well. There are a lot of things we could do way better. Some of the little things, and I think one of the biggest things we harp on every week is takeaways. And you saw we got a takeaway early. I think it was AJ punched it out, Bryce recovered it. The offense was able to go down and score on a short field. And so those are the things that we think about, defensively that we can help, just kind of help, man, find ways to win the game. And that's the biggest thing.
Next one, Mike, Chris.
Yeah, Justin, they've now won 10 in a row. I don't think you've beaten the Chiefs since you've been drafted. How tough is that? Are they that much better than you that they beat you every time?
No, I mean, no. We find ways, in a lot of the games, and they're talented, but there's a lot of the times where things can be self-inflicted, and I'm talking about all phases of the ball, defense included. And there are some of those tonight on the defense, and I don't know what the numbers were or whatever, but we just didn't find a way to play well enough to win us a game in all three phases. So it is what it is, but we got one more shot. We'll play them later down the road, and we'll have a chance to go play them at their place. And so, we need to be way better.
Next one, turn right.
Justin, how do you keep this from splintering? We've covered teams in the past where it's kind of becomes defense versus offense, and guys get upset. Shelby was clearly upset throughout the day. I mean, how do you guys kind of in-house manage this as you move forward? Because you could still win the next two and be 4-4 at the halfway point.
Yeah. I think, people will, outside of the locker room, people will always react to, kind of like what they see and what they hear. But reality is, like, when you're a family, you fight, you get frustrated. I mean, who's not going to be frustrated losing a game like that, especially at home, And so sometimes, emotions get the best of everybody. No one's above emotions, in terms of when you're heated and in the moment. So, and speaking of like that, there's going to be no divide. There are going to be games where, defensively we're not playing as great, and, the offense is going to have to pick us up and things of that nature. So there's going to be no divide on the team. Everyone on our team we know is fighting and doing their best, and we just got to be better. That's point blank simple. There's no feeling bad for anyone. No talking about injuries, no talking about, how bad COVID's affecting the season. I mean, we just got to be better. Every single team in the NFL is dealing with the same thing that we're dealing with. So we just got to find ways to fight through the adversity and be better with it and about it. And, that's the job of leaders on this team, myself included. And so we got to find ways to manifest this thing and to keep this thing going. One loss doesn't define you just as much as one win doesn't define you. So just got to get back to the drawing board on that.
As a reminder, if you no longer have a question, please lower your hand. Next one, Brandon.
Justin, you've obviously been here for a while now, and I know that everybody on defense thought this offense, because of all the weapons and firepower that was added, was going to be a lot more productive. So I don't say what's your level of frustration, but what's your, disappointment or surprise that they have struggled to this point? And I know Drew obviously missed some games, but how surprised are you and the rest of your defense that they're not matching really every team?
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough. Like I said, there are no excuses. I'm not an offensive guy, but there's no excuses because everyone's dealing with the same type of offseason. But, it matters when you get, a new OC, you get some new players, and you're incorporating people. I mean, you got to have time to gel. Just speaking defensively, like, this is our first time in the however many games now we've been playing with Bryce, and it's different when you're out there in the game and you're communicating. And same thing with, we just got AJ back. And I'm telling you from a secondary standpoint, like, that stuff's important to have that communication, that gel, that bond. And it takes a while to get that. OJ, getting pushed into the lineup. And so there's a lot of that going on. And I'm sure it's the same exact thing on offense. You got a lot of new weapons and, you're dealing with communication and you're just trying to figure out how guys run different things. And so stuff takes time, and it's not an excuse by any stretch of the imagination. But, all I know is that we'll be fine when it's all said and done, man. I trust our guys. I know who we got in that room. I've practiced against them, and I'm not worried one bit. We'll turn this thing around, and there's no pointing the finger. It's going to start. I think we could have done a better job defensively, getting a little bit more takeaways for our offense today.
Guys, final two, Zach and Arnie.
Hey, Justin, as one of the leaders of this team, do you address the entire team? Do you stick with the defense? Do you stick with the secondary? And what's your message to that group?
Yeah, I mean, the message is the same thing, we've got to be able to fix the mistakes. That's all it is, from offense, defense, special teams. Obviously today, in terms of complete effort, was nowhere near good enough. It doesn't matter how well you play defensively. Doesn't matter how well you play offensively. Doesn't matter how well you play on special teams. If you don't win, that's what matters. And sometimes it can get ugly. They can score a lot of points. We score a lot of points. We find a way to win. You win. It could be, a 10-3 game, and it's just a defensive dogfight, and you win. That's all that matters, is finding a way to win. It doesn't matter how it happens. And so you're just figuring that thing out, man. Like I said, it's a weird time for everyone. Once again, there's no excuse about that. And so the leaders on this team, we just got to keep grinding. It's one loss. One loss doesn't define you just as much as one win doesn't define you. And so we got to fix the mistakes and move on to next week.
Final one, Arnie.
Hey, Justin, Vic had said before the game or during last week that the Chiefs were even better because of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then he had that touchdown run where I think 5 of you had a chance to get him. What was your impressions of him, and what's it like when a guy can escape the grasp of 5 guys like that up the middle and score?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good back. We watched film on him all week, and we saw him consistently break tackles, every defense that they played against. And so, obviously, that was one of the things that we were really focused on coming into this game. And, those are some of the things that I'm talking about defensively. Maybe we hold them there to 3, and you just never know, how things like that can go. You hold a team to 3 instead of them getting 7, and you just never know how, that momentum shift can change and can change the flow of the game. And he's a great back. He runs really hard, obviously really short. So, very low to the ground, can break a lot of the tackles, but we could have did a better job tackling him as well.
Hey, AJ, how would you evaluate the defense's performance today? Vic said, he was disappointed in that first drive, but then you guys were held strong after that.
I agree with Coach. We could have started off faster. That's the biggest thing you want to do, especially against a team like this in the first 15. It's called drive starters and how you're going to prevail in it. And I think that drive, we didn't do a good enough job. And besides that, I believe we did good as a defense. The only negative I could take from it was we didn't get the turnovers we wanted to put our offense in better positions. We didn't win the turnover battle.
Next one, Ryder Howard.
Hey, AJ, 2 for your first one. How'd the shoulder hold up?
First play I made a tackle, and when I got up, I felt good, so that was positive.
And secondly, you've been around this league for a long time through losing streaks. What words will you have for the locker room to make sure this doesn't snowball?
I told the guys after the game, before the bye week at an organization, we were 2-5. They doubted us, and we ran the table. And I was just telling them we got to stay together. Good thing about division games, we get to play them again, but we have to remember this and let it motivate us for next week.
Next one, Mike Bliss.
Yeah, AJ, how frustrating was it that you basically held Patrick Mahomes in check and they still had their way? You were on the sidelines when they scored 2 touchdowns there in the second quarter on the kickoff.
At the moment, it's very frustrating. The biggest thing that we could do is just stick together. I talked to Drew after the game. I let him know I played against a lot of great quarterbacks that had bad games. It's not about that. It's how you respond. And I just, reassured him that the guys are always behind him no matter what, and we just going to keep fighting.
Garrett, how do you keep a loss like this from, one, potentially dividing the locker room or guys getting mad at one side of the ball or the other and I guess, building on it but not letting it, spiral or the season out of control?
I don't think it's dividing our locker room. I think our locker room is very strong. I think, we have a lot of guys that are eager to win, that want to do the right things. But, it's at the same time, it's guys like me, it's guys like Dalton, it's guys like Chubb, Graham and Shelby Harris and, Justin Simmons and K-Jack. It's all those guys that, we got to step up and really, really dial in. I think our defense is doing a phenomenal job, and we're not helping them win. And so when, they hold the Chiefs to what they did, the game was 10-9. And so, that's pretty spectacular besides the 2 turnovers we had that turned to, those 2 touchdowns. And then we really just got to focus. We really just got to dial in. We got to go back to the drawing board and figure out the things. But, I love this team. I love this organization. I know we can turn this around. We have a lot of great dudes in this locker room. I'm proud of everyone for fighting. It's not giving up. We're fighters. We're going to continue to fight, and we're going to figure this out and turn this thing around.
Last one, Nick.
Garrett, you mentioned the running game, and Phillip was averaging almost 10 yards a carry before he came out. Did you feel like that changed the flow of how well you guys were running the ball once Phillip went down?
Phillip's a great back. Melvin's a great back. Royce is a great back. We have 3, great backs that a lot of teams wish they had, and we have them. So we got to use them in a way to make them, more versatile and dangerous for the defense that we're facing. So we got to continue to run the ball. That's flat out. We continue to run the ball. We ran for almost 200 yards. That's, most teams that run for 200 yards wins ball games. Like I said, but we got to limit the turnovers. Once we limit the turnovers, we control the clock like I know 3 can, Drew Lock. And once we do that, we're going to get this thing rolling. You saw us the last 2 games that we won. We controlled the clock, and we did a lot of great things. So we continue to do that, which I know we can. Then, the sky's the limit for us.